Marion Ndung'u, and today we are doing a segment on love and truth. As I said, every other day we are going to go live and just have a small discussion on a few questions that a lot of people have been having online. And I am privileged to be the one to bring us that discussion today. And yesterday we had such an amazing time, and a lot of people came in and we were engaging. And I am really grateful that you guys always join and just engage with me. Today we are talking about how do you deal with heartbreaks, how do you move on, and probably even to begin we can start by what causes heartbreaks in the first place. I am here excited to have a conversation with you. However, I'm just going to give this a few minutes just to see how many people will be here so that we can start together so that I don't talk to myself. Normally, when I'm recording videos prior, it is very okay to do this alone. But now, because it is a live session, I just want an uh, uh, interactive session, and that means I need people to be in and engaging. So I'm just gonna give it a minute, so don't think that I am um, idle. But yeah, that's what we are going to talk about. So let's give it a minute or so just to see how many people will join us, and then we can continue. And it will be such an amazing opportunity even to interact and just to have fun. I hope I am audible enough. Let me just add on to my volume so that I make sure that you guys hear me. So my volume is 100. Waiting on you guys. Anybody? Nobody has seen my live yet. No one has stumbled upon my channel yet. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I think if I minimize the sound. Okay, let me. Anybody? Somebody? Okay. Is somebody live already? I want to start with a few quorums so that I don't start alone. Even if I get one person, I'll be so excited to begin. And we can always kickstart. Please don't leave if you're already here. Let me know that you are already online. You can leave a comment even as we discuss. Today we're talking about heartbreak, right? So it's going to be a very fun conversation. It's going to be interesting. But in the meantime, even as I wait for quorum, for someone that probably is already online, I will ask you, what do you think are the causes of heartbreaks in relationship? Have you been in a heartbreak? Have you been heartbroken? What caused your heart to be broken? What caused you to be heartbroken in a relationship? Okay? Anybody? Somebody? Do we have people online truly? Wizkid, hi. Welcome to this platform. Today we are talking about how do you heal after you've been hurt by someone that you truly love. So we are basically talking about heartbreaks. And I thank you. I'm seeing a bit of quorum so we can begin. My name is Marion Ndung'u, and we are talking, I'm doing a 10-day series on love and truth. And today we are talking about how do you heal when someone has hurt you that you really love. So basically it's more of heartbreaks that we encounter either through a relationship that we got ourselves into, or just any form of hurt that people go through in their daily lives. Hi George Mwangi. Yes, I am married. I am turning 5 years in marriage tomorrow, and I'm super excited. Yes, I am married. So I'm just gonna help us here by starting this conversation this way. And I'm just gonna ask, has anyone who is online been heartbroken? Has anyone among you experienced pain because of loving someone or investing in a relationship, and probably it didn't go as you wanted, right? So if you can please engage so that we can have this conversation. It is a live conversation, and the main reason it is a live conversation is so that I can get feedback from you. This is not the pre-recorded vlogs that I normally do, where I just speak to myself and assume that you guys are following. Because you are here, kindly respond so that we can have an engaging session. My goal and my prayer at the end of our 10-day discussion is that at least someone will see relationships differently, probably get answers to questions that they have concerning some of the topics that we're talking about. And if you have another question that is probably outside what we are discussing, you can always ask. We are here to engage and for us also to know one another so that it can be as engaging, as fun as possible, and also as informative as possible. So for while I have asked if any of us has been heartbroken, let me start with myself. I have been heartbroken, and I think that, hi Wilfred, hi, karibu sana. We have talked about relationships in a dimension that kuhana hata Marion, kuko poa. I'm not Kikuyu. I'm married to a Kikuyu, but I get what you're saying, money maker plus. Yes, kuko poa sana. As we are having this conversation today, we're talking about how do you heal from being heartbroken, probably by someone that you loved so much. But before we get to how do you heal, let's talk about what might be the causes of why you might be heartbroken. I've done a video before, a while back, why you are heartbroken. So if you have not followed me or you have not watched that video, go and watch. And what I was telling people that time is that sometimes because you get into the relationship with unrealistic expectations, probably you do not know yourself. That is why when you get into a relationship, it ends up being you end up just discovering things that were not supposed for you to discover in relationship. You needed to probably have those answers before you got into the relationship, so that it is easier for you to say, I do not like this, I like the other, and you have your own preferences. So you can actually distinguish when someone is treating you right and when they're not treating you right. Wizkid, how can I make my ex come back to me so that we can begin a new relationship? Oh, interesting question. Let's see if we will try and answer it either in between the conversation or even after the discussion, so that we don't go far away from the conversation. Moneymaker, I had broke another person. Balance is important. Hassan Mohammed, Sawa Bim Safari. What? Okay. So I sound like her. Anyway, thank you, Hassan. Bim Safari indeed. And I hope that I live to the name. I live up to what she preaches, probably. But I am an individual that of course loves when people are together and are happy. So I really enjoy making sure that people are okay. Like when you're getting into a relationship, when you find your fulfillment, that really makes me happy, because again it shows that you are really moving in the right direction. So if we agree with her, I'm dope and I'm okay. So I was explaining how you can find yourself in a relationship that will cause you to be heartbroken. So majority of us do not know what we want. Some of us are just getting into the relationship for the sake of the fact that you don't want to be alone. People are just giving you pressure. We get to a place, especially us ladies, you start being asked questions. Kwani hakuna mtu anakuangalia? No one is seeing your direction. Are you the problem? Are they the problem? And that can cause you as a lady to have some esteem issues, and that causes you, of course, to start rushing and just dating anyone that looks interested, even if they're not your type, just to make people shut up, yeah, so that you don't look like there's nothing that is going on with you. Hassan says, nataka kujua opinion yako kuhusu going to university in Kenya. Is it worth it ama hakuna jobs? The truth is, Hassan, because it is outside our conversation, but let me answer you quickly. I went to a Kenyan university. I got my wisdom. and my certificate. However, it's true, the job market is flooded. I don't think that the issue is going to university really. It is the fact that the job market is crowded. So majority of us are graduating, but we are not, we can't all get quote unquote into the workspace, right? Because hizo jobs ni kidogo. So if we have like 10 jobs and we are graduating over 300 400 people from one course, and that is just one university, you can imagine how many universities we have in Kenya, and you haven't also added up the colleges, and all of them are bringing up people that are studying the same thing, yet probably the job market has 5 to 10 jobs or 100 jobs in the maximum. So inakuwa tricky. So that means there's a lot of competition. So the issue is not really going to university, it is how do you make your place in the workplace. Personally, whatever I studied is not what I ended up doing, and I thank God for that, because now I would have been frustrated. God is redirecting me in his own way. So now is when I am doing what I studied. I did psychology, Hassan, and yeah, so that's why you feel like I am Bim Safari. Yes, and I got the opportunity to enter into the entertainment space. So I have been acting for a while, and that is what I have been doing. Then transitioned into the crew side. So now I'm not no longer in front of the camera. I'm just behind, just making sure that you guys get amazing content that you can watch. And then recently I decided to go just study and improve my skills matters, creative industry and the film industry, so that I can now decide to become a producer and start getting the big buck. So that is what I do. Wizkid had asked a question, and because I have answered you, Hassan, and it still is outside my today's conversation, let me answer him speedily as we go. So how can I make my ex come back to me so that we can begin a relationship, a new relationship? Wizkid, I'll just start by analyze what made you in the first place, like end the relationship. Was it you who was the problem? Was it her who was the problem? Or the fact that you guys were either younger? Because unajua say when we are younger, our reasoning is a bit fragmented. We are not sober, so we want so many things, and that can affect a relationship, especially when you're younger. So analyze the reasons why you guys in the first place did not work out, because that can be a red flag for the both of you. You might want the relationship to come back again because you feel like the person is familiar to you, but what is familiar does not make it good for you. So you need to really be able to distinguish between the two and know that if I am in a relationship, what is the reason why we will get back together. If probably it was because both of you had the issue was your egos, and you were struggling probably to understand one another, and now communication is something that you feel like, oh, if we work on this we can actually have a very good relationship. That would really help the conversation, and then you can see if you can actually get back together. But again, the other thing I can say is you might want the relationship back, but the lady might not be in the same space as you, because you see, when we move on, when we end a relationship, two parties end up, either someone is too hurt and they're like, I cannot go back there, or they have seen probably things that they were not expecting, and they'll be like, I can't go back to this person even if you paid me, because I know the weaknesses that he has, and probably that might not work for us. So for example, and I'm not saying that you were, if someone was violent, and this lady is like, I can't do violence, and probably that is the reason why you guys broke up in the first place, it would be a no-no for her. So again, as much as you would want to begin a new relationship with her, it also has to come from also her deciding, do I also want a new relationship? I hope I'm making sense, because you guys cannot begin a new relationship when it's just you who wants the new relationship. Moneymaker said, I had broke another person, and that happens, of course, because you said no to them and they did not want that, and that is okay. Sami, yes, Raila alikufa, it's true, and it is sad, and we sympathize with the family and the nation at large. And as much as he died, we are also doing everything we can, even as we mourn, so that we can continue doing the best that we can with our lives, right? Yeah, so we console with the Kenyan people, and we are so saddened by his death, and it is such a toll on our country. But again, our lives, we have to do the best. Where he stopped, we continue. Sindio? Yeah, so we just do our best and just make sure that we live the best lives that we can. Wizkid, it's me. I made the breakup. I always brought her flowers, but she doesn't accept. You brought her flowers during the relationship or after you broke up with her. Okay, that means, I can't give you advice when it is one-sided because I don't know the other side of the story. What I can say is what I've just told you. Just have a sit down with her, try and see if she can connect with you, and you guys have a sit down. And then after the breakup is when you give her the flowers. Of course, now, oh my goodness, she can't accept them because she's upset and she's hurt. You broke up with her. She's heartbroken, right? Your flowers mean nothing right now to her because you hurt her feelings. Probably you broke her heart when she wasn't expecting you to end the relationship. So probably that would be the reason why she doesn't accept your flowers. But again, I feel like when you give the relationship time, she might actually come around, because all of us get hurt, we get pissed off, and when we are given our own space, we might actually analyze and be like, that guy was a good guy. So when you reach out at the right time, you find that she's ready to have a conversation, and you guys can see where you can pick it up from, depending on how hard she is and how much space she needs. So just analyze and see how much space does she need, so that you're not also being a bother, yet you are the one who called off the relationship in the first place, right? Okay, so back to our conversation. We were talking about what would be the reasons why you would end up being heartbroken. And the first thing I said is a lot of us are entering into the relationship without knowing what we want. We are just getting in there because of pressure, because we want to please other people instead of ourselves. So when you get into a relationship and you do not know what you want, the possibilities of you being disappointed are so high, and that will cause you being heartbroken. I remember when I was in my early 20s, and I thank God I wasn't married at that time, because I would really have confused myself and I would have ended up having a very miserable life. When I started seeing a lot of my peers, those people that we went to high school together, are starting having babies, are starting have their homes, they are in relationships, that really frustrated me, and it made me really think a lot about, and I almost got tempted into getting into a marriage, because at that time it was the pressure that was speaking to me. I was looking around me and I'm feeling like everyone is either in a serious relationship, while at the time I was really struggling with the relationship that I had. And that really affected me at that particular time, and I would have entered into a marriage or a relationship, by the way, because I was very desperate for attention, for just having someone who would be sober and who would settle with me, not because I felt the pressure or I felt it was time, but because I felt like the external pressure was now becoming too much, and it was causing me to want to make very bad decisions that would have affected me, right? So I know probably are joining us today and you're feeling like, hey, people around me, things are working out for them, but you internally, you might want to follow the pressure and be like, I will get married tomorrow, I will start dating someone yesterday. But the thing is, if you rush into it, then again you will go and find someone who is really broken and messed up, because you yourself are not prepared. I usually say this, that relationships are work. So every time you get into a relationship and you're not ready for one, you will be too frustrated and just feel like giving up on the way, because you are not emotionally ready to invest in the work that a relationship or a marriage requires for it to survive. So if you're in that place where you're feeling desperate, please take your time and just learn yourself, because at the end of the day, it is about you and the person that you will get into a relationship with. Are you ready for that relationship? Are you ready for even the time that and the investment that needs to be put in for a relationship to work? Because if you feel like you're not ready, probably you're too busy trying to chase your career, too busy trying to do whatever it is that you're doing, then don't get into a relationship, because the other person will start complaining as soon as you guys already decide. By the when you make it official, and you decide let's date, they will start complaining from the onset that you don't have time for them. And that is true, you do not have time. When you get your little time, you have so many things to do. It is the time that you want to decompress and just rest, yet this person will want you to come through and maybe you guys go out on a date. You don't have the time because you need to probably wake up very early in the morning and go and just pursue your career and everything. So I believe like if you can't balance life, please take time until you feel ready. Because sometimes when you're ready, even when there's a lot of things to do, you will still have the time, because in your heart you know that I want to settle. So you will have that and you will have planned for it, especially men, because you guys are people who do not know how to divide yourself. So if you are so focused probably on building the career, then leave the woman alone, because the woman will want her attention and you do not have time for her, and of course she will be complaining. And remember, every time she's complaining, according to you it will be nagging, according to you it will not be pleasant. So again, instead of her bringing you joy and peace, she will be a bother and she will be nagging you from here to there, and that is not something that you want when you're not ready, because that of course will cause you to just end the relationship there, or just keep on staying there and get hurt and hurt them, because you will be responding very badly. I don't know if that makes sense. Elvis, yes. Hi. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're learning. Wizkid, she doesn't reply to my text calls like I try my best for us to talk to each other. It's 5 weeks now since our breakup. So my advice to you, Wizkid, is just give it time. She's still hurt. She's still in that place where she just needs her space. And the minute that you continue to call and text, what you're doing is bugging her. If we imagine Saizi, now I'm giving you an example. It's you that someone has really irritated badly. I don't know what's the worst thing that has ever happened to you emotionally, because maybe men, you might not respond like us when it comes to emotional things. But imagine something that was very emotional, that really hurt you, that someone did. And then apart from that, you are trying to stay away from them and they're not seeing it. They're just still bugging you, probably with the same issue that they offended you with. How will you feel? It has a very bad feeling, right? So I think what you're doing is making things worse than actually making them better. Sometimes an apology can be keeping quiet for a while and just letting it be, so that things can calm down, because what you're doing is you're adding fire to that particular fire that is already there. So give her time, and while you're doing that, work on yourself. Work on the things that probably made you in the first place want to break up with her. If you feel like she was valuable, there must be something that she did, or you feel like it wasn't working for you to end the relationship, and start working on that while she's away, right? If it is your fault, for example, then work on those things, so that by the time you're approaching her again, you are better than what you were. The version of you that she will encounter the next time will be better. Okay, so as I was saying, so after you try so hard to force yourself into a relationship, of course, one thing is you will feel emotionally drained, because you're coming into the relationship with a lot of baggage. You're coming into the relationship not knowing that, by the way, I do not want this thing, I'm just here. How many of you have been forced, for example, to do something just because you have to? I know for some of us that are employed, there are things we do not because we enjoy doing them, but because our bosses expect us to do them. And that really can be annoying and very irritating. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm working on my light. I'm trying to bring it closer. Yeah. So it might be annoying for you guys, because this boss, there's what they want you to do, and you're there thinking, I'm trying to adjust this so that it can be a bit brighter, and I don't think it's working, but okay, that is fine. So if you're in a workplace, when you have to force yourself to do something, because a lot of us are employed, and there are things we got to do not because we want to, it's because we want to sustain the job, and it pays our bills, right? And we have to do what we gotta do. So you will go in probably on a Monday morning, and you feel like, these are the times I need to go to Mombasa, man, and relax, chill out, or go somewhere and just breeze, or go out with my friends and just hang out. But I need to be here in this office. Yeah, it's crappy. Oh my goodness, I can't wait until it is 5 for me to clock out. But again, you have to do it, because you know that if you don't do that thing, you will be sacked. And when you're sacked, again, the job market is very flooded. And if you don't take care of that particular thing, you end up jobless, and then you will start borrowing people out here, and that is not something that you want, and it will destabilize you. The same thing with a relationship. When you get into a relationship, there are days you will have those bad days where you're just like, I don't want to see this person, Aki, I don't feel like even talking to them, but because I promised myself and I decided I'm gonna have this relationship with this person, today, whether I like it or not, if she calls, I'll pick. If he calls, I will have to just agree. If he says today we are going out, because I want to make them happy. So there's that compromise that comes into the relationship. So as I was talking earlier, when you enter into that relationship and you don't have the mental capability or you're not in the space to compromise, there will be a lot of heartbreak that will be going around. And the worst part is when one party is fully invested in the relationship and the other one is not, the one that is fully invested feels like they're cheated, because they're like, I am investing my time, my relationship, my resources, and this person is giving me nothing. They're not responding probably the way I expected. Is the love there? Probably it is there. Is the liking there? Probably it is there. But you feel like I am being shortchanged. Whatever I am inputting is not what I am getting out of the relationship. Emotionally, I feel drained. And let me tell you, if you're a guy and you're joining us now and you're live, let me tell you, if there's something that really frustrates women, because majority of the time, and that is the truth, apart from nowadays where I'm seeing the dynamics where the women are coming in with financial stability, majority of the women just come in with their emotions in the relationship. They won't come in with finances. They usually come in carrying emotions. It's what they have, and that is what they give. They will give you their emotions, they will give you their time. And it's so frustrating when you are in such a relationship where you're investing emotionally and the person that you're investing emotionally for is absent. So it can really be frustrating. So if you're a man, please make sure that when you're getting into a relationship with our ladies, you know that by the way, this lady is investing a lot. She might not quote unquote give you financial help, but if she's in a place to do that because she loves you, she will do that. Unless she doesn't love you, she's also there for you to play. But if she really loves you and she's emotionally invested in the relationship, please make sure that you are invested as well, so that you don't end up getting to this discussion where we are talking about you feel so hurt and how do you move on, right? The other thing that I can say that would cause a relationship probably to, or someone to feel hurt, I know that there are people today. Let me demystify heartbreak. You can be heartbroken in a relationship, and this is why. You know what we were talking about yesterday, for those that were able to join us, having expectations. So, before I met this guy, or before you met this lady, or while you were meeting, right? There was the persona they presented themselves as. You know, most of us, when we meet new people, when we go out looking and searching for people to love and for them to love us back, excuse me, we are normally looking for something that we feel is missing, right? So if you are introverted, you want someone who is extroverted, who can bring the party to your life, because you know very well that me, I'm not fun, so I'm looking for a fun person who will make my life interesting and bring humor and all the other things that they can bring to the relationship, and vice versa. So a lot of us are heartbroken, yet we are in a relationship. We haven't even, by the way, left the relationship. The relationship is not over. So we are heartbroken in the relationship, and we still stay in the relationship because of those expectations. There was what was presented as a person to be, but when you get into the marriage, the reality, or in the relationship, the reality is different. That is not what you meet, and that is not what is presented to you. So a lot of us are heartbroken because expectations have been cut short. And the expectations I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the unrealistic expectations that we all have before we get into relationship. I'm talking about the expectations that have been set and have been put to place because you have been introduced to that probably while you were dating. So while you are dating, probably the person that you were dating, whether the girl or the lady or the gentleman, there were things that they used to do for you, and you have now become so familiar to them, and you have loved them, and that is the reason that would cause you probably to continue the relationship and decide, by the way, I'm just gonna be exclusive with you, not because of other things apart from the fact that I like you or you look good physically, because of the things that you are providing and the things that while we were dating I have been seeing that you are providing that I need. And when you start dating, you feel like, they should continue doing these things, but at the end of the day, while you're in the relationship, you feel betrayed and hurt because you feel like, this person was lying to me because they stopped doing the things they were doing. Probably they were doing that because they were trying to get you to become now their girlfriend. They did that probably because they wanted you to be their boyfriend, and such and such. So once you get into the relationship, you realize, this person was lying to me, this is not who they are, and you get very disappointed and very heartbroken while you are still dating that person. And these frustrations, of course, can lead to either the relationship becoming very sour and very bitter, and sometimes we have also seen it going to become even very physical. But if you're careful, you can just be like, you know what, I'm already seeing the red flags, this person was actually pretending, this is not who they are, and this is not something that I should expect. And if you have not yet cemented the relationship, it has not become something serious, you can actually leave before and just be like, you know what, have a conversation. I usually say that civil conversations are very good at ending a relationship. Don't just go quiet, don't go mute, have a conversation with that person. Dating is like a job application. That's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, I was just analyzing if you and me can be compatible. That is why it is called dating. Like, I am analyzing. And because I have analyzed and I have seen, probably because of the things that we have been going through, that this thing cannot work. And as much as probably it is my fault or it is yours, let's have a conversation. So you sit the person down and be like, okay, listen, I love you. I like you. I like your personality, and we have had a few days, few months of our knowing one another, and what you are presenting probably, and probably one, two, three things cannot work for me, and those are not things I can compromise on. And just be clear on that so that this person can know, by the way, the main reason why I did not end up with this person or this person left me is because of this and this. The main reason I feel like it is important to give feedback is this: one, it will help the person that you're leaving to know probably things that they need to work on, right? If you are not the patient type, be like, I can't wait for you to work on those things, or I can't be with you while you're working on probably those things that I'm going to highlight as the issues, then what you will be doing is doing them a favor and just tell them, by the way, you know what, A, B, and C did not sit well with me, and it's not something that I am willing to compromise on, so I can't really continue this relationship with you. So I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for the opportunity for us to get to know one another. And yeah, that is the end of the relationship. I remember a while back, that was my, I think, my first boyfriend. We dated for three years. Yeah, 3 years. We were in uni. So of course there was a lot of games and a lot of not knowing ourselves. I think for me, I'm not gonna talk about him and what probably did not work for him for me, but I'm just gonna say what did not work for me when it comes to him. And the relationship was so nice. The guy was very respectful, he was handsome, we had our moments of fun, and I really enjoyed the relationship. But when we came to our third year of dating, it just felt like we were too familiar. I felt like we got too complacent with one another. There was no more chemistry anymore. There was no more intentional, like, going out for one another, quote unquote. So I felt like the investment that I was getting wasn't enough, quote unquote. As a lady, there was a way I wanted to be treated. There was what I wanted from my boyfriend then that I felt he was not delivering. So what I did is I organized a very beautiful date, and I cooked his favorite meal. And after the meal, we sat down, and this is what I said, because I feel like honesty is very important, so that someone does not go there and start questioning, sasa huyu aliniacha kwa nini, what happened really, why didn't she talk to me, I don't know, probably, those things. So I just I sat him down, and I was like, this is our last date. I feel like we are in different spaces. I feel like you are too preoccupied with whatever it is that was going on in his life then. So I mentioned that, and I felt like he was not giving me enough time as I wanted as a lady, and it was frustrating me, and it was making me question the relationship, and it was also bringing up trust issues that I feel like were not very necessary. So I just told him, thank you so much for the opportunity to date you for 3 years, and that has been a good ride, but it unfortunately it is the end of the road for us. So you can imagine, I was, how old was was it 19 or 21, because we started dating immediately after I think I was 21. So you can imagine how that was a shock for him. I think he had not experienced that before, and the relationship ended. We hugged for like 5 or 10 minutes, and all of us were crying. And after we finished crying, he left, and we never talked again. I think the next time I had a report from a friend of mine who was telling me that he was not doing well, because emotionally I think I really damaged him, because he was expecting for us to have a future, considering that we had such a beautiful relationship, that you know, the way you have a good relationship, you guys are friends, so you don't understand what would have been the issue why people break up. So as we were in, okay, not as him, he was left there because he did not understand, why did you leave me, why did you break up with me, I have not cheated on you, I have not done anything that would offend you, we were okay, we were having a conversation, you even cooked me dinner. So it was hard for him to digest. But the sad part is I was also heartbroken. You know, a lot of people think that just because you're the one who broke up with the other person, that you didn't feel anything. The truth is, you will get heartbroken because there was an investment that you put in, whether it was minimal, because you invested time, you invested your emotions. And as I've told you, I dated that particular guy for 3 years. So of course there was a lot of emotional what is it, emotional investment that went into that relationship. We dated, of course, during our campus period, so we also spent most of our youth together, and that, of course, really meant that we 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 hurt one another in a way. And I know that I hurt him, but it felt right to let go then than to keep on holding on to a relationship that for sure I knew that would not really go anywhere. Not because the person was bad. The truth, honest truth, is that that guy was amazing. The truth is that we were going different paths, and I could see it, and I felt it inside me, and I knew that that relationship wouldn't bear any fruit. And that is why me, I stepped out and I left. But you tend to feel like the person who was left is more hurt. But for that particular relationship, I was more hurt, because I was like, oh my God, that is my 3 years investment. I remember we both, because we were both in campus, so all of us were investing in the relationship financially, because none of us was working. We were using our fathers and our mothers' money that we were being given for pocket money to go and take each other on dates. So of course it was an investment from from the both of us. So when I would sit down and just remember the good times and just think about how I spent my money traveling from Kenyatta University to MKU to just go and see him, or when he used his to come and see me, that of course really broke my heart. The investment of time, you know. And then when you date for a period of such a long period, you find that you have mutual friends. So you can imagine now the mutual friends still remain, but now you two are not together. So when every mutual friend, before they all find out that you have broken up, they are there asking you, how is Nani doing? And you're there thinking, oh my God, oh my God, you don't have the memo. As we are not in a relationship, you know. And probably sometimes we are also in a space where, like, probably Wizkid is for a period of time. You want to now mend bridges, so you don't want to tell everyone that by the way we are not together, because in your head there is also that hope that by the way we can get back together. So today I just want to submit to us that you can actually be heartbroken even if you're the one who broke up the relationship, because probably, excuse me, you broke up the relationship because you felt something was off. Probably you broke the relationship. As much as you love that person, you're like, I can't make you happy. You know, there are people who will decide to leave you not because you have done anything wrong, but because they feel like they are not the best person for you. How many of us have been there? Me, I have been there, where I have left a person not because the person is bad. Oh, heaven knows. If anything, I left them because I felt I am not the girl who can help them probably achieve their dreams and visions, because I don't think, it's not like I don't have the capability or the capacity to do that, but I feel I don't have the emotional intelligence to hold their hand through probably something that they are going through, because my path was different from whatever it is that they wanted to achieve. So you just agree to, like, okay, you're a good person. This would have been a very amazing friendship. You know, we would have made very beautiful babies, but unfortunately I need to let you go, not because you're a bad person, but because I feel like I cannot really help you grow, or the level of growth you are in and where probably you need to go. I don't think that I'm the right person to grow with you to level. And so breakups can really be caused by a lot of things. And for the last 40 minutes, we have been talking about that, things that could cause you to be heartbroken. But our question today really is about how do you heal after being hurt by someone you loved deeply. That was our question. So how do you heal? We can discuss also. I needed to also point out, because I said that you can actually be hurt because your expectations were not met, but you're still in the relationship. Unfortunately, even for people who are in marriages, there are people who had broken in their marriage and they're still together and they can't leave because probably the expectations, what they ordered versus what they got is totally different. But now, because they can't even stay out of the relationship or the marriages for reasons beyond them, they stay in the relationship, but they are heartbroken. So we are going to touch in a few minutes what it means to heal in a relationship that or you are in a space where you have been hurt by someone that you emotionally loved, someone who you loved deeply. And I'm just gonna start by reading something that I wrote, then from there we can just go on and have the conversation. So being deeply hurt by someone you love can feel like your world would have been rearranged. It's normal to grieve, not just the person, but the version of yourself who believed things would be different. Healing is not a one night prayer or a single Instagram post. It's a process of grieving, learning, and reclaiming peace. This post walks through practical emotional steps, of course, that and spiritual practices and research backed strategies that help you move from pain towards wholeness. So if that is something that you're looking for, then you are in the right space, because we are going to talk about how do you actually come out of that. So breakups and betrayals are recognized by psychologists as real stressors that disrupt emotional regulation, cognition, and social functioning. How do we cope then with this thing? Is adaptive strategies like seeking support, meaningful making of course another beautiful relationship, versus maladaptation strategies, which of course deal with avoidance and numbing, like the way Wizkid was talking about. The girlfriend is now doing what we are talking about, avoidance. So instead of dealing with their breakup, what that lady is doing is just, I want to avoid you. And it's also okay and it is allowed. However, we need to be very careful if you have been hurt, not to do the avoidance too much to a point that now you start even to avoid getting into relationships because of fear. You know what the Englishmen say, once bitten, twice shy. Yeah, so you avoid now that part where it becomes twice shy, because now when you become too scared to get into another relationship, now the avoidance becomes a problem. But when you are just in that space of just avoidance and you're like, I don't want to deal with that issue now because I am not in the I don't have the emotional intelligence to deal with that trauma, then of course it's a good indicator. And then from there, you now, when you're ready, you pick up from where you left off and just make sure that you heal. So when you get to those ones, just strongly predict recovery, intentionality, adaptive coping fosters better long-term mental health and growth after that loss of that relationship. So how do you practically heal when we are talking about healing? Because that is what we are talking about today. The first thing is allow the grief, then name it. So let me explain. Denying pain delays healing. Name your feelings: anger, shame, relief, confusion, whatever it is that you're feeling because of the relationship that probably broke, or because of whoever hurt you and how badly they hurt you. And that will of course give you a feeling, so you name that feeling. Okay, so they stop running you from the inside out. After you name them, now you know, oh, so I'm actually upset, I'm angry with this person, or I'm angry at myself, or at the feeling of just the fact that I feel betrayed. Then the other thing is writing, journaling, or talking with a trusted friend or counselor who helps you externalize the grief. Okay, so what we are saying here in allow the grief and then name it is this: I have gone through a situation where I have loved someone, and from probably what we have discussed earlier, picked something that did not work, Cindy, and the relationship ended, and it has hurt me. The main reason a lot of us get hurt, of course, venye tumesema, is unrealized expectations. Probably you get hurt because the relationship ended. Unajua, majority of us ladies, I don't know about men, we always tend to build a future with someone that we are dating. So there is me looking at you, we are dating. Yes, it is not something serious, but I see myself having your children. I see myself being your wife. I see myself settling down with you. I start to envision how beautiful our home will be, how amazing we will build a life. And that is just us having a conversation and having a good time while we are dating. So you can imagine when we break up, how that can really affect a person who has already built a life and a future with you in their head. So it can really bring a lot of feelings that can be very hurtful and traumatizing. So the thing is, just to make sure you name it, because if you have built a future with that person, of course for you it will be shattered. And that shattering can cause you to feel confused, because in your head you're like, how do I start? And for some of us, can actually be coming out of a relationship that probably was a long-term one, that was probably you guys were staying together, and probably you had a child or two in the relationship. So it can actually be more than just dating. It can be actually a marriage, right? And you're coming out of there. It might not have had the white wedding, but it can be a marriage on its own. And you're coming out and you're wondering, what just happened? You know? Is it my fault? And there's a lot of feelings of shame because you're wondering, and a lot of blame, either to share with the person that you're breaking up with, or even yourself, because you feel I should have invested more in the relationship. Or now you're starting to see your weaknesses and be like, oh, I am the reason and the cause of the relationship to end. So it can cause you to feel really bad concerning yourself. Of course, there's a confusion, not just for you, but even for the other people involved, because you want to carry everybody's burden. You are wondering, now how do I deal with this situation on my own? How do I make it work? And of course it can be very frustrating and very hurting, and it can really cause us to have challenges. And of course these things really happen. So name the pain, the thing that you're going through. What are you feeling? Are you feeling betrayed? If it is the betrayal, name it. Then look for people that you can trust and have a conversation with, and be like, you know what, I feel betrayed. And they'll be asking you question and following up, why are you feeling betrayed? And then from there you guys can continue having the conversation until to a point where you heal. The other thing is, choose adaptive coping. Choose adaptive coping, not avoidance. Adaptive coping includes seeking social support, therapy, spiritual counsel, and structured reflection. Avoidant behaviors such as use, like substance use, rebound relationships, constant scrolling, numb symptoms but prolong the wound. So you numb your symptoms that we are talking about. You don't want to say that I feel bad, or I feel pain, or I feel angered. So because you're trying to cope with the situation, you're picking avoidance. And the avoidance, you know, some of us can decide, by the way, I'm going to drink my life stupid, and you know, become such an alcoholic. Yes, you drink occasionally for fun, but now you become an alcoholic because at the end of the day you want to numb your feelings. Or you decide, by the way, you know what, me, I'm going to get another relationship as soon as tomorrow so that I can rebound. You know, I'm going to replace you and show you that, by the way, you are not the reason why I breathe, and I can still do well without you. So tomorrow you start dating, you are in a rebound relationship. And then there is constant scrolling, where you are forever just looking at what was, and then you are constantly going back to a life that you built together. And you know, with our social media, a lot of us post a lot of pictures together, so you find yourself going there and looking at them. I know, of course, there are those people who instantly go and delete every evidence of that person as soon as they break up, but there are others who just keep on looking at those pictures. They might delete them from the public, but probably they have their own pictures or their own memories on the phone in their gallery that they continually look at. And you know what you're doing is, you're not healing, you're just there admiring and feeling bad. And there are others who actually stalk you, and they're wondering what you're doing. Instead of moving on and focusing on themselves, they're ever looking at you so that they see if you will post a new person. And when you post a new person, now they're there also trying to see, who is this person that you posted, are they beautiful than me? You know, and instead of them working on themselves, they are so busy focusing on your life and trying to mess up what is yours. So of course, it's just choose adaptive coping mechanism that will help you. So do you love probably journaling? Do you love probably having a conversation with someone, and just making sure that while you are having the conversations, because human is to error. And a lot of us, by the way, when we are having conversations with even these people that we are talking about, where we are looking for social support, we tend to make ourselves look like the victim. We don't also look at it from a wide point of view, where we also agree that we have our own faults and our own distributing reasons why the relationship did not work. So while you're also looking for a coping mechanisms for you to heal from something, that from a heart that has broken you so much, also look at it from a point of, you also have a contributing reason as to why the relationship did not work. Because if you were probably 100% a good person, then probably the relationship would not have ended, right? So while you are having social support and going for therapy, also admit your side of the faults and take your side of the blame, and be like, probably if I would have handled this situation better, we wouldn't have gotten to this place, you know, while you are as well accepting the fact that the relationship is over. Another coping mechanism that actually works is working on yourself. I usually say this, and that's why I started by saying some of the things that I also did, even as I was breaking up with a few of my exes, is just sit them down and get to know the reason why probably the relationship is not going to continue. And this is actually to help them, because once you highlight probably things that unaja, when I am looking at myself, when I am living with myself, I am actually 100% perfect. Until I open my life up to people, and then they discover, this girl is so she has such a huge ego. Probably she's not very interesting as she thinks she is. Probably she has a weakness of one or two, and she doesn't know that, because when she's alone, like when I'm alone, I don't know, those are things that I struggle with. So while you are also ending the relationship, don't just be bitter and just be throwing hands and calling each other bad names. Sit down and actually give each other feedback and be like, you know what, I think the main reason this relationship cannot go on is because you do not take time to listen, and because me and you cannot communicate, then I don't see the need of us having a conversation. And while you're giving the feedback, be like, you know what, me, I like talking too much, and that might be a problem for you. And for me, I feel like if you would honestly respond to me, the relationship would have worked. So you see, you're both giving each other feedback and just be telling each other that this is what we can do. Now, I know that is not possible, especially in the time where the conversation is heated and you guys are ending relationships, because there's a lot of emotions and a lot of anger going around. But you can actually do a review afterwards. Like, just get time, or when you meet, like, probably if you happen to meet somewhere and you ended the relationship, but at that time you're in a good space where you can have a conversation, then you have the conversation. Or better yet, you guys can have a call and just be like, you know what, honestly speaking, I just want feedback. I remember when I broke up with another ex of mine, I called them after I think some months, and I was like, hi, are you okay? I'm glad that you're doing well. So I'm thinking of entering into another relationship, and I would like you to give me feedback on what was wrong so that I can see what I can improve even while I get to the next relationship. Because the honest truth is, I don't want the other relationship to be as bad. I don't want to experience the same challenges I experienced with you, because sometimes the honest truth is that the person who is now you might be the problem. You know, we always tend to think that the relationship ended because it was the other person's fault, but what if the problem was you? So it is always nice when you get the feedback and be like, you know what, I feel like you should give me feedback on what I should probably work on so that I can improve myself and make myself better, and that can really help the relationship. The other thing is, set boundaries that protect your progress. And what are we talking about here when we're talking about progress? This might mean no contact for a person, muting on social media, of course, probably creating physical routines that reinforce your safety. Boundaries are not punitive, they are restorative. So when we are talking about boundaries here, is that a lot of us get also into relationships and we don't have clear set boundaries. But I thank God, because every other time you get into a relationship that is bad for you, there is something that you learn that help you to build your boundaries. Because sometimes when you get into a relationship, I started saying, by when you get into a relationship when you're young, you really don't know how to set boundaries, because you're like, everyone is a nice person, everyone is good, everyone is good vibes, so you expect the same, because probably that is who you are. But when you get into the relationship, you realize, by the way, I need to put boundaries sometimes here and there because of what I have learned, and it actually helps you. So while you come out of that particular relationship and you are in your healing journey, is like you need to also make sure that now moving forward you have healthy boundaries, not boundaries that block people from now having a conversation or a relationship with you, but boundaries that will just make you and heal better. And when you get into the other relationship, it is not as bad, it is not as disruptive, and it won't kill you or destroy you. The other thing is, practice spiritual rhythms for restoration. Of course, you guys, for those that don't know, I'm born again, so I strongly believe in God, and I strongly believe in the power that God can actually heal and deliver. And some of the times, you can actually get yourself here where you practice spiritual help, right? Where you ask God Himself to just be the help that you need, even in the season of your pain, where you focus on scripture and just listen to word and sermons that can actually help you out of situations that you're in, where the enemy can take advantage of you and probably cause you to get into depression just because you loved someone too much. You know, there's something as loving someone too much. Yeah, so you can actually ask the Holy Spirit to help you through that, so that you can come out and actually know the difference between love and obsession, and also get to know how to love people right, and also how to deal with probably a relationship that you're in, so that you don't invest too much, especially if the relationship will not eventually go anywhere. So that can be very helpful in a relationship. The other thing is, seek professional help when needed. I know there are people who can get trauma, because as we said, that people who hurt you the most are people who you have opened your life to. We have seen people who hurt each other in the relationships. They beat you, you get hurt. Men get beaten by women, and women beat men, and of course there's a lot of trauma that happens even from that, and that can cause you to have like PTSD, depression, or prolonged grief that can happen if, for example, you lost probably even a child in the process. I remember I have a family member who was beaten while she was pregnant, to a point that she lost her pregnancy and her baby. and the baby was due. So it's like whatever caused the fight really affected her, and she was beaten, and the guy was just aiming at the stomach, and she bet her, alimtandika. Yani my family member was beaten until they lost the pregnancy. And I can just imagine how sad that is, and you can imagine if that has happened to you, how traumatic it can be. Even if you leave the relationship, it really associates with so much baggage and a lot of pain that follows through, as much as you are now far away from that person. The emotional torture that that person has put you through is very bad. I have been in a situation where I have lost a pregnancy, and I can imagine now this one is a forced loss, because someone just hurt you to a point that they caused you to lose a pregnancy. So mine was because of challenges. I had fibroids that were affecting me, but every other time I used to look at children, and especially now, because when you're a mother and you're pregnant, you start to see yourself in you have already started seeing when the baby will be born, and such things. So I would look at children that probably would be the same age as that particular pregnancy, and I would just remember and just be in that place of just asking God, wow, how my child would be this month, my child would be this years old now, probably they will be in school, and that is a child I lost even before meeting them. So I can imagine for this person who you are beaten until you lost the pregnancy. So you know that it is not biological reasons, it is not scientific reasons that are causing you to lose the pregnancy. It is just someone who was bitter, and because you disagreed with them probably. And when you follow up and you find out, probably even the argument for that particular day was nothing. Or you can imagine probably that person that day just came drunk, and because you either responded wrongly or you did something that they did not like just because they were drunk. So it's not a matter of you did something wrong, it is an issue of substance abuse, and they came and abused you and hurt you that much. That grief can really have a toll on you. So some of us really need to talk to people who can help us, so that we can come out of that prolonged grief, that depression that probably you are slipping into, or that post-traumatic stress disorders. There are those that, of course, because of being beaten, you have scars, and those scars will remain with you, and every time you look at it, you remember the situation. So that is a PTSD right there, that you need to deal with it before it becomes worse. So you can imagine the kind of relationships that we are getting ourselves into, the kind of people we are allowing in our lives that really are there, but instead of loving us, they are hurting us. The other thing is turn pain into purpose. Use that as post-traumatic growth, what we say. A lot of people, of course, as we have seen in statistics, a lot of people that have gone through some of these challenges use their past as lessons and as stepping stones to do better and become better, and even become advocates of the same thing. So if they use it as self resilience, and it becomes so clear even for them to just base their values and beliefs, and now they start to even fight for other people. We have seen people, for example, who have been raped, and now they become people who are causing awareness and are helping other rape victims so that they can come out of it. So of course you can turn your pain into purpose, whatever it is that you encountered with that loved one that really hurt you, and you feel like other people need to be aware of this. So you become an advocate, and you're speaking about it, and you're telling people, this is how personally probably I came out of it, and how I dealt with it. And then from there, of course, you build on it, and you help one another so that you can come out of it and you become better. So before I finish, I'm going to read a scripture for us from Psalms 34:18. It says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Use this to also use as a prayer shield every time you feel that you're in a bad place. Just remember Psalms 34:18. God is close to the brokenhearted and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. So depending on what you are going through, you went through, or you might probably in future go through, and God forbid you go through pain, that God is close to you and he can really help you through it. Before I finish, also, I need to mention here that sometimes we can be heartbroken because the loved one did not hurt us, did not do anything to us. The hurt that we are feeling is because probably they went to be with the Lord. So they died and they left you, and you're wondering, how am I going to do life without them? Some of you are left with children and you don't know where to start. So, of course, it can be very frustrating. You don't know where to pick up from. You have built your life together to a point that the both of you were so merged, and you knew that you guys were intertwined, so everyone had their role to play and they were playing it well. So of course the heartbreak does not always have to be that someone hurt you. It can also be that someone left, or they became sick to a point that they cannot do anything, so probably they are a vegetable. I know a few people that I have met that have had bedridden spouses for years. So this person was healthy, one day they get a stroke, they got into a coma, so they're there. So they can't do anything and you can't blame them. But that really hurts you because you can't help them. The finances that you have are being depleted because now you have to make sure that this person is taken care of, for them to just go and have their regular checks and everything. So things can really happen that can cause you to be hurt by someone that you love. And the hurt can come from that place where now for someone who has gotten sick, you don't know how to help them. Or probably it's like the finances that you have, you are going out to work, but all the money is just being directed to the sick person. And we are all human. As much as you love this person, you can actually get frustrated and it can be overwhelming and it can actually weigh you down. So you also need to be in that space where, as much as you love this person, you also need help, so that you can just make sure that even as you're taking care of them, you are not slipping slowly into depression, because that might actually cause you to end up being um, what do I say, resentful. And once you get to that place, it can be very bad, because now even taking care of them, you will be doing it with a very nasty attitude. And because it won't be bringing satisfaction to you, it will be such a bad experience, and that is not something you want for yourself. So I'm just gonna ask a few questions here that I would love you to respond to, although I see that there is no one live. But let me just ask, in case you join in the future and you want to watch this: what truth about yourself did this relationship reveal? If it is a good situation or a bad situation, you have just been heartbroken, but what truth about yourself did that particular relationship you had reveal about you? Yeah, because once you know some of the things that were revealed about you, then that means the relationship also taught you something that would actually help you in the future. The other question I would ask is, where am I tempted to numb instead of heal? You see, majority of us have been in different relationships. I see someone is online. Please don't leave. Let me ask you a question. Have you been in a relationship that is what is causing you pain or caused you a hurt, but you learned something about yourself? If you did, kindly share down below so that we can know. If you will join and probably watch this later, you can always write down on the comment section, because the live display will not work. So just write and I will try and comment and just engage with you as much as I can. So what are you trying? What are you tempted to numb instead of dealing with or heal in that particular relationship? Because of course I know that majority of us have been into more than one relationship. What one thing are you feeling like, what, I don't want to deal with this one, I just want to just forget it and leave it, and not deal with it, because probably it causes you pain. It causes you to remember, I don't know, a lot of things that you don't want to remember that are really painful and hurtful, and you want to numb them. So what is that thing that tempts you to want to numb it instead of heal it? The last thing is, what boundary do you need to set today to protect your heart? I know that when we talk about boundaries, a lot of us think that boundaries are bad, that boundaries are walls that you build to stop people from loving, or you stop being emotional, so you're this stone cold person. But that is not the truth. Boundaries can be healthy, if they're dealt with positively. So today I'm just going to ask you a question. What boundary do you think that you need to put in place to protect your heart from future hurt? From this particular relationship you're coming out of, what is the boundaries that you feel like are necessary for me to put in place to avoid? Of course you will get hurt probably, right? But it will cause you not to be at okay. Even when you're hurt, it won't be as painful as it was probably in the previous relationship. So what boundaries do you feel like you need to set for yourself so that that can actually happen and so that you can heal? I know that today we have been live for a while, and I'm grateful that a lot of you came in and commented. I just want to finish up by saying thank you so much. I hope we have learned something, and whatever we have learned, we can use it and just make our lives better and interesting. So the truth is that hurt, being hurt is there, and all of us have experienced it, but I think the difference between all of us is how we deal with that pain that we have gone through. There are those that decide by the, you know what, because of that pain I'm not going to love anyone ever again, so they get into other relationships but they don't invest anymore. They're like just there, and now they expect to be given and not to give, and probably that might work for them but it might not work for the other person. So it now becomes a series of people that you love, and you are coming out of every relationship but you do not have any emotions because you numbed them. So you can be careful, because of course pain can cause you to go through life not enjoying and not being happy. So that is why we are talking about the fact that you need to heal so that you can enjoy the relationships that you get yourself into. The other thing is that we use our pain and we can use it for good. And I think that I am in that space where I am learning from my pain. I have been hurt by so many things and so many people, and people who hurt you do not have to be people who you are sexually either intimate with or romantically involved with. People who you love the most can be even your parents, can be your relatives, and they can really have a toll on you. And of course if they hurt you and those are relatives, those are people that you cannot get rid of. Like the way you can say, you know what, if my ex hurt me today and we say we are not gonna talk, I will never see him again. But a relative is someone that will constantly be in your life whether you like it or not, because you will meet them at family gatherings, you will meet them at places where you probably were not expecting them, because both of you are drawn to that particular place because of the blood that you share, of course, and other things. So you have to eventually deal with every hurt that you go through, even that is caused by family. So open your hearts to a place where you know that, you know what, this thing is going to kill me if I don't deal with it. I remember I told us on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday, when I was telling you guys that someone took advantage of me, and for a while I was very bitter with that person. I hated them and I hated myself for even being their friend, for allowing them to come so close to my life, and then when they hurt me, I, I felt I thought I forgave by just saying I forgave them, but the truth is I did not, and it took so many years to accept that I had not forgiven, and then now start the journey of now looking and just be like, you know what, I need to heal and I need to be done with this story, you know. And while I was there, I was like, I'm going to go to the grave with this situation, I'm never going to tell anyone. But the one thing I learned is that sometimes even when you heal, it is so easy to talk about some of those things and not feel anything. And it's not because we are cold hearted, it's because we've dealt with it, and right now it's more of, it's something that happened, it was bad, it was unfortunate, but it happened. But right now it doesn't cause me to feel any type of way, right? Because I've already healed from it, and I'm okay, and I've forgiven the person wholeheartedly, and I know that I am in a better place. But when things like that happen and you need to walk the journey of forgiveness, it's not easy. The journey of healing is not easy, it takes time. And the worst part is that it takes different time frame for different people. So of course, because it takes different times, you are an individual, so take your time and heal your way. Do not be rushed by anyone so that you fit to a particular calendar, or so that ni kama there is a particular time bomb that you have of like you have 15 minutes to heal from whatever it is that you're going through. That doesn't work. But what you need to make sure is that as much as you need your time, don't take too much time, because the more you stick in that situation, guess what, as much as it is painful, you're not hurting that other person more, you're hurting yourself more, because you're the one who is taking more time to linger and to marinate in that pain and that hurt that you're going through. So you need to let go so that you can also heal, so that you can feel better. And why would you want to feel bad all that time? This person already has hurt you, they have already done whatever they have done to you, them they have gone and they're moved on, and then you want to continue being hurt for what? And why give them that liberty to hurt you that much, right? It is unfortunate that they hurt you, but then again, you need to be the bigger person and just be like, you know what, for my own sake, I need to move on and actually come out of this situation and do better for me, not for them. Yeah, and once that is done, then it can be a very good process for you, which is also an added advantage for you to heal and just recover and go on with your life. I want to finish by saying thank you. God bless you. You guys are an amazing audience. Thank you for commenting, everyone that has shared. Thank you so much. God bless you. God do you well. And I'm so excited that we got to converse with each and every one of you. Tomorrow, let's meet again. I usually say let's meet at 8, but something just happens, and most of the time I come online by 9. But I will try again tomorrow to see if we can start at 8. But if we don't, just know between 8 and 9 I'll be live. And tomorrow we are going to talk, how do I put God at the center of my relationship? Yeah, so how does God come in into the relationship and become the center of that relationship? So see you tomorrow, even as we discuss that. And I can't wait to engage with you. If you have more questions, come with them tomorrow. We will answer and try and meet every person at the level they are at. And then we are going to have an awesome time. So see you tomorrow. God bless you and bye.